So when you're looking at different career options, I've broadly categorized into undergraduate, postgraduate, etc. Let me explain one at a time. So when I'm looking at the undergraduate options that we have, so you have a lot of choices nowadays. Apart from just BCom, you have BCom, BBA, BAF, BMS, etc. These are all commerce ones. So BCom, Bachelor's in Commerce, Bachelor's in Business Administration, Bachelor's in Accounting and Finance has gained a little popularity of late, Bachelor's of Management Studies and all is there. We'll discuss all of these. Otherwise, you can take a specialization in economics. BCom, BBA, BAF and BMS is going to be more or less very similar. It's just that the BAF part is going to have more of accounts and finance papers in your third year, or may have less of other papers and more of accounting finance papers throughout your course. We'll discuss these in detail. BSc is a specialization in economics. There are people who are into engineering, BCA, computer application, etc. and they choose to also start studying for commerce and finance and all of that. We'll discuss why and how. So these are the broad undergraduate options that you pursue after your class 12, and now you have your 4 years graduation program, right? We'll discuss this in detail. When I'm looking at postgraduate options, the most popular being the MBA program, and then you have the masters. Masters could be pursued in various disciplines: masters in commerce, masters in finance, masters in economics. We'll discuss that. And after masters comes PhD. So PhD is a little far-fetched right now. Generally, people pursue masters in order to get into a PhD program. If they want to get into either research, economics research, etc., think tanks and all, or if they want to get into teaching and academics. So that is when people generally pursue their PhD, research and academics. Then when you're looking at the professional courses, so there are 3 Indian professional courses that is basically constituted by, the Indian regulation. You have the ICI, the CA Institute, you have the ICSI, the CS Institute, and you have the CMA Cost Accounting Institute. So CA, CS, CMA, you can start after class 12. All the 3 will have 3 levels: foundation, inter, final. They'll keep on changing the name of the level, but essentially it's a foundation, inter, final. CA is going to have a mix of all the subjects: accounts, tax, law, audit, everything we'll discuss. CS will have a focus on law, and CMA is going to be having a focus on costing. We'll discuss all the 3 in detail, but essentially there are 3 levels. After class 12, you start with the foundation, you pass that, you go to inter, you pass that, you go to final. There could be certain amount of training, mandatory training time period also, where you have to do an internship of sorts with a CA firm or a CS firm and all, right? Then when you're looking at the global designations in finance, we are looking at CFA, FRM and CAIA, which is known as the triple crown in finance. CAIA is kind of a post-finance or a post-grad kind of a qualification. CFA and FRM you start. FRM you can do it along with college, and CFA you can start again along with college, but you start preparing in the first year. You can take the exams in second year. You can't take the exam in the first year itself. CFA has 3 levels of finance. FRM is finance but specialization in risk part, and CAIA is specialization in alternate investments. So once I explain CFA to you, I'll be able to explain CAIA in a better way, right? CAIA is kind of a post-CFA qualification, if I were to say so. And CFA, I think level 3 charter holders, they get exemption from CAIA level 1 as well. So CAIA is something, that's why I told you it's more of a post-CFA kind of a qualification. When you're looking at other certifications, so ACCA, CPA, basically, so CA is the accounting body in India. ACCA is the body in UK, which is applicable in like 100+ countries or so. And CPA is the accounting body in the US. So in a chartered accountant in India, when you pass a chartered accountancy exam in India, you will be able to practice as a CA in India. You can sign balance sheet PL in India. You will study law, tax, etc. of Indian regulations, Indian taxation law, Indian legal company act and everything. When you're doing ACCA, you will have the concepts, but you will obviously not be studying Indian law and all, Indian regulations, and you cannot sign as an authority as a chartered accountant in India. And with respect to CPA as well, the same thing. You will not be studying Indian laws, you will be rather studying US regulations and tax and law. Subjects could be relatively similar. ACCA gives you a lot of exemptions. If you're a graduate, you'll get about 6-7 papers exemptions or so. If you're a chartered accountant and all, you'll get even more number of papers exempt. So normally what I've seen is, if you are planning to do an ACCA, one, you could be getting jobs in these big fours and large accounting firms and all, where there's a lot of outsourcing work of the US, UK, etc., which is done in India. But normally what I've seen is ACCA, you'd rather qualify your graduation, complete your graduation, take those exemptions, because you'd anyways be able to manage those papers till the time you're getting your graduation done. So after graduation you start. Normally I would recommend students to start with CA. You complete your CA, you'll anyways get a lot of exemptions with the ACCA exam. And if at all, a lot of students have this concern that what if I'm not able to qualify CA, let's say a foundation, inter, pass rate, students get concerned. Of course, you have to think of all the possibilities. Of course, not be demotivated or not start with the thought process that what if I don't clear. But of course, there is a pass rate in the exam. You will clear. If you don't clear in the first attempt, you clear in the second attempt. You'll have to work very, very hard. Just to let you know, a lot of students for professional exam, if you're not completing the syllabus, if you're not revising before the exam, please don't expect to pass. The probability of you passing would be very, very low in that case. You have to have the, I would say the decency, or you have to have the respect for the profession, for the exam, to at least complete the entire curriculum, to revise the curriculum before taking the exam. Of course, the syllabus is extensive, depending on the course and everything that you're talking about. But that's all the more reason to study more and work harder. And also to let you know over here, see, the more difficult it is to get admission in a college, the more valuable your college degree would be, the more valuable that college would be, correct? Even when you're looking at XYZ IIM colleges, you would not see the MBA program getting advertised, but there are other courses getting advertised. Think about it. So you have to understand that the more difficult the course would be, or the lower the pass rate might be, or the more rigorous the studies that would be, the more valuable it would be in general. So don't run away from hard work. It will not help in building a long-term career. Because I've seen people joining, 1-year course at some XYZ institute, and there is no exam or so. So if you paid a certain amount, if you're there in the institute for a 1-year period, formality ke liye they'll have the exams and all, and then you end up qualifying with that 1-year diploma or whatever. But that will not be valuable. How many 1-year XYZ course diploma holders are mutual fund managers today? Think about it. Or CEOs or something. So if you want to get an easy way out where there's no pass rate, or there's no admission criteria, there's no admission entrance test and all, that will not be that valuable either. So think about these things as well when you decide your career, right? Anyways, so when we're looking at the ACCA and CPA exams, so CPA exams and ACCA, if you're working in India, in that case, you'll be working more from offshore and all of that. And again, it is not that easy to simply just, do this course and immediately move out of the country and settle abroad. That is also not that easy. You have to have a lot of reality check. That's another point of discussion altogether. CPA again will have no exemptions. So if you're looking at CPA exams, you'd be studying broadly your tax, accounts, a little bit of finance cost and all, but you'll be studying the regulations and all in the US. You will have to take the exam either in Dubai or US as far as I remember. So Dubai and US, I don't think they've opened more centers of late. You can practice as a chartered accountant in the US, but then you'll have to do your internship over there as well. In fact, different states in US will give you a different practicing license. So if you want to practice in one particular state in the US, you will have to get the practicing license of that particular state. So there are certain complexities around it. Students do CPA generally, I've seen them after CA is completed. And if the company that they're working in that requires them to take the CPA exam, because they might be having US clientele, etc. That is when students generally pursue CPA. The passing rate of CPA would be higher than CA, and the curriculum would be little less as compared to CA. But at the same time, if you are a chartered accountant, ACCA is going to be an absolute cakewalk for you. And CPA also is going to be relatively easier because you already understand all the concepts of the different subjects. It's just that you have to apply it based on US laws, right? But as I told you, you don't learn the taxation laws, etc. of your country, India. If you're working in India, you're doing business in India, you'll not be learning those laws and taxations and everything about the Indian regulation. And you cannot practice as a chartered accountant in India despite completing ACCA or CPA. CPA gives you the right to practice in US, and ACCA would be giving it to you in 100 plus countries including UK, but not India or not US either, right? But at the same time, what happens is, I'll give you an example. So in CA, for example, we study Indian accounting standards, and ACCA, you would be studying something called IFRS, International Financial Reporting Standards, in the accounts paper. Now, because of globalization, we've started having IND AS, Indian Accounting Standards, which is 95-97% same as your IFRS. In fact, we study something called carve-ins and carve-outs, which is basically the difference between Indian Accounting Standards and IFRS. So if you've studied the Indian accounting, you automatically have studied 95% of IFRS. And when you study the differences, you also know what is different from the Indian accounting standards as compared to the IFRS. US GAAP also is getting very much aligned with regards to IFRS because we want to have a global standard accounting process and all that. Anyways, moving forward, now you have the CMA and CIMA. So just the way you have the CMA exam in India, which was earlier the Cost and Works Accountants as we used to call it, ICWAI, as in the course was also cost accounting. Now they've renamed it to CMA. It's been a while, Cost and Management Accountant. So CMA India, CMA US, and CIMA is the CMA equivalent in UK. CIMA again will give you exemptions like anything. If you're a graduate, you'll get like 5-7 exemptions or so. And if you've done something else like a CMA or a Indian CMA also, if you do, you'll get a lot of exemptions. So if you're planning to take up a CIMA exam or something, you'd better off doing it after graduation, after claiming all the exemptions, or even better doing a CA or CMA or so and taking even more exemptions. US CMA has 2 levels. I don't think there are any exemptions over here. It's relatively easier and a much compact version of, and has a little bit of accounts and finance and cost, but it's not very rigorous in terms of syllabus or curriculum also. I've seen students taking it up. I don't think CMA US would be giving you a career which a CA would be able to do, because the content, if your syllabus is so reduced, as in it's such a small amount of syllabus as compared to the CA exams, limited scope in terms of syllabus. But again, you understand the way I would say the MNCs and all work. They do not need you to know everything about something. There are a lot of entry-level jobs also for which CMA would be a good idea, right? Then you have certain other certifications in terms of finance. So CFP, Certified Financial Planner. Again, a CFA would be in a much better position as compared to a CFP, because it would be more holistic, or it will be more extensive in terms of curriculum around finance. And in the 3rd level of CFA, you have a specialization, where one specialization is portfolio, one is private wealth, and there's a 3rd one as well, private equity and all. So private wealth would be much aligned with CFP, as in the private wealth specialization would teach you what your CFP needs to do as in terms of job roles and all. So whatever roles a certified financial planner would be doing, your private wealth would be covering that part as well. So I would rather have broader and more options available in terms of finance and have more depth in finance with a CFA than a CFP. PQF is if you want to specialization, so post finance qualification, after you've studied finance, if you want to get into very numerical, quantitative aspect of finance, algorithmic trading, number crunching. So you'll have subjects like you'll have very detailed statistics and all of that, along with Python and all of those things in CQF. It's a relatively very expensive course. I think it will cost you around 3-4 lakh rupees minimum for CQF. But if you want to make a career in quantitative finance, very high level quantitative finance, you should consider CQF post finance qualification. Post your finance qualification. CMT is Chartered Market Technician. So if you are planning to make a career in trading and investing are 2 separate things. When you're talking about trading, you're talking about, the charts, patterns, prices, trading, buying, selling, short term. So if you're looking at trading, generally you start first with practical aspect, as in you sit with traders in a trading desk. You start paper trading, you start learning trading on the job. You start understanding the markets, how the charts, patterns, prices play and all. You learn from somebody, with somebody, and you work in the markets. At least after 6 to 8 months of learning practically, then if you want to pursue trading as a career, because you have to have a certain level of practical understanding to learn and understand CMT course. Then you get into CMT. So CMT is Chartered Market Technician. It is absolutely aligned in terms of technical analysis, trading and all. But by studying charts and patterns theoretically, you'll not understand unless you've seen it practically. So it is very important that you're trading for at least 6-8 months or so. Not trading as in sitting at home and opening an app and trading, not that way. Absolutely professionally with a trading terminal at a trading company. The ones that specialize in terms of trading and all. Then you start pursuing CMT. And CIPM is a post-CFA kind of a qualification, wherein it's more from the mutual fund industry and the asset management industry. So how mutual funds report their performance and analyze their performance. The analysis of the returns you've generated on your performance, that is going to be a part of CIPM. So again, a post-CFA qualification, nothing to think about right now. right? Other than that, students look at law exams, pursuing actuaries and civil services. So law is basically you want to be a lawyer. Lawyer does not always have to be criminal law. It could be corporate law also. Somebody is going to be fighting the tax case of Vodafone. Somebody would be fighting the cases with Nestle that had happened. Somebody would be fighting the bankruptcy and the process and the entire takeover of Air India, let's say. There's a lot of corporate law as well. If you're planning to take up law immediately after class 12, you take your CLAT examinations in order to get into a law college. If you're not sure right now, if you do not want to restrict yourself to a law career right now, after class 12, you take your graduation and all. In that case, you study CS along with it. Because CS has a lot of law. When you're looking at CS would be specializing in law and CMA would be specializing in costing. There'll be more weightage on costing. So with your graduation, you can do CS along with it. And after graduation, you can join a law college, not for the entire 4-year, 5-year period, but a 2-year law college. And your internships and everything, and then you can still enter into the law space. There are chartered accountants also, when they find that interest in taxation or law and all, they start practicing. Practicing in the sense, you have to be representing your clients, let's say for GST cases, goods and service tax and income tax cases and all. So there are chartered accountants, you'll have to qualify a couple of things, and then you would be able to start representing your client in the court of law. You'll have to do your LLB. Again, it's not a 4-year, 5-year LLB program that you have to take. If you're a chartered accountant or if you're a graduate, then you can take that route. But you have to study tax and corporate law and all either in CA or either in CS. So then you take up LLB and then you start practicing, but you practice corporate law, not criminal law. Right? And then actuarial sciences, basically, if you have a very keen interest in statistics, very high level of calculus, statistics and all of that, and you want to make a career in insurance industry, in that case, you take up actuarial science. There are a couple of finance papers also, but then again, for finance, it is actually is not for finance per se. It is more in terms of statistical modeling and insurance space, insurance industry. So say, for example, if I go for a life insurance and I want to understand what is a premium. So the agent will put a few numbers or do some calculations and give you the numbers and tell you the premium amount. But who's built that model? And how do you plan? How do you change the premiums? Because so many factors are involved. Inflation levels, interest rates are there, probability of me dying or not dying, etc. So many factors are going to be considered in terms of modeling and working out the numbers and all. So actuaries is going to be into maths, quant, stats and calculus and all of that, and modeling into insurance industry. And civil services, if you want to become an IAS officer, in that case, you look at civil services. We'll discuss the basic process around it. These are the broad options you're looking forward to after your class 12 exams. So we're talking about BCom, BBA and BMS undergraduate options. So normally your subjects are going to be around management, organization behavior, math, stats is also there, accounts, cost, tax, law, marketing, lot of papers. It's going to be a mix of almost all the papers that is there in the commerce part. The syllabus is going to be relatively similar for BCom, BBA, BMS. So we are talking about BCom, BBA, BMS right now. You can have a specialization in finance and accounting or marketing or HR in the final year of your college. Career prospects, again, obviously the entry level jobs is what you're going to be looking at when you're looking at an undergraduate placement. So if you want to take a placement right after college, you'll be looking at entry level jobs normally. It also depends on which college you're from, which city is your college from. So all those factors and how your profile and your grooming and everything during college, all those factors will also be very important in terms of the kind of role and the role with which you start. Roles would be in consulting, HR, marketing, accounts, everything. Again, consulting, I'm not talking about McKinsey, BCG right now. You have to again see how people define their roles or how they term their roles. So Big Fours are also there. EY, PwC, KPMG, Deloitte and all. So a lot of roles are there, but then again, it'll be very entry level position when you're looking at a graduate part. And most colleges would be offering a specialization in the third year, right? Management, business, maths, English, Hindi, EVS was also there in college in first year. You'll obviously have less papers around it. Accounts, again, you'll have more papers or more semesters will have accounting paper and management, marketing paper and all. Organizational behavior, marketing, branding, so all these papers are there. It's going to be a mix of papers in the commerce space. Even economics and all is there in your college level, right? Now, the question is, undergraduate, what are the options in terms of BCom, BBA, BMS and BAF? So that is where you need to understand. So first of all, let's understand the difference between these courses. So BCom, BBA, BMS, a lot of students ask me that do I need to do a BBA? Would it be helpful to do a BBA in order to do an MBA later? Absolutely no. So whatever you want to do along with your graduation, BCom, BBA, BMS, BAF, or what you want to do after these undergraduate courses, it absolutely does not matter. Whether you've taken a BCom or a BBA or a BMS. Now, do you care whether I've done a BCom or a BBA today? Of course not. It does not matter. So BCom, BBA, BMS will absolutely not matter in terms of what you want to do along with college or after college. It is absolutely immaterial. That is one. Even with regards to BAF. Now, BAF would obviously have more papers in terms of accounting and finance, but when you're looking at placement, you would have a better edge in terms of getting an accounting role or a finance role. But again, you have to understand finance role would be a very, very entry level finance role, right? So you have to understand that because we're looking at the undergraduate options. Career options, again, tax, auditing, accounting, consulting, marketing, all sorts of profiles are there. Again, entry level profiles is what you would be getting into, right? What is the difference between BCom, BBA, BMS and BAF? So first difference is in BBA or BMS, you'll have maybe a little less papers on accounting, finance or so, and more paper on management, branding, etc. on the management side of papers. It will not make your MBA exam or MBA entrance or whatever easy. There's absolutely no correlation with your BCom, BBA with your MBA. So please don't get confused with all that. There might be some extra papers on managements and all, and if you're interested more entrepreneurship ka paper hua, let's say, etc. So all those things. So you'll have a, I think 20-25% variation in the syllabus of a BBA, BMS versus a BCom. BBA and BMS will be almost similar. It's just, different colleges might be referring to it in different ways. And when you're looking at BAF, you'll have more accounts, finance papers. So you'll have more of tax and auditing and accounting standards. So you'll have more papers on those. You might have a little entrance criteria in terms of having a minimum score of maths, etc. But most of the good colleges, even for BCom and BBA and all, they would be having a qualifying criteria where you have to have maths in 11 and 12. I'll discuss maths part in detail later. You might have a little extra paper, as I told you, in accounting, auditing and all, and the placements might be more in the accounting roles and all, accounting, taxation, auditing, right? Again, finance would be a little too entry level when you're looking at a undergraduate program. Now, given these differences and given these similarities, how do we decide what to take up after class 12? How to decide on which course to go for? The first and the foremost thing that will matter is college. So if I'm getting anything, BCom, BBA, BMS, BAF, whatever I'm getting in a very good college versus second best or third best, I don't care what I get, I'll choose the college. So what matters the most is which college are you getting admission into. So BCom, BBA, BMS does not matter. The first and the foremost thing is which college am I getting admission into. You have to get admission into the best possible college that you can. That is the most important, not the course you're taking. If you do not have any interest towards accounting, finance and all, then don't take up BAF, right? So that is one. Second is the city in which you're getting into. So you have good colleges, let's say in Bangalore, Delhi, Bombay, Kolkata. We have Chennai as well. We'll have a couple of them, but not that many, I would say, at least in the commerce side of things. Now, when I'm looking at these colleges, the city matters in the sense. So I'll tell you a couple of things about my graduation. So I had more than qualifying marks for admission into SRCC in Delhi. But SRCC Delhi admission, one, I had to relocate because I'm from Kolkata. In Kolkata, I do have a good college available, Xavier's. That is one. Second, I'll have a little advantage by staying in my own city. I don't have to do any of the household related managing work and all of that. That is two. Three, am I looking at placement from college? No, because I was planning to pursue my CA exam. So immediately after class 12, I started studying for CA exams, CA and CS both in fact. So I knew I'm not going to be taking placements from college campus. After undergraduation, I'm not taking a campus placement. Now the placement in Delhi is going to be way, way better as compared to what it will be in Kolkata. And Delhi, there are more number of colleges. There are more corporates in Delhi, Bangalore and Mumbai as compared to Kolkata. If you're looking at more of marketing, product, etc. roles, you'll have a lot more in Bangalore as compared to what you would have in Kolkata or Bombay even. Right? If you are planning to take a placement immediately after your graduation, in that case, city becomes important and you might need to think about relocation. Next is, you need to also see that along with graduation, what are you going to do? So Xavier's offered me the option of 6 a.m. in the morning to 9:50 a.m. in the morning college. So therefore my articleship and all can go on and I can pursue and I can study for other courses and it becomes easier for me to pursue and manage. At that point of time, SRCC, the timings were till 1 o'clock or 1:30 or 2 o'clock in the afternoon. So I can study up to CA Inter If I have to take CA final, I'll have to take it 2 years or 3 years after college is over. With Xavier's, my articleship, we'll discuss, the internship can go on along with college, parallelly with college, because of the college hours. Even for Xavier's evening, that works because your college starts at 4 o'clock or so, and you're able to start your articleship parallelly. So I can do a CA 1 year after college over here, but it would be 3.5 years after college in SRCC. That's the reason why I took up Xavier's. So why I chose Xavier's? So you have to understand, first of all, the college matters. If I did not have the top 3, 4, 5 colleges in terms of graduation in my city, then I would think and definitely look at relocating from the city. You also have to look at factors in terms of cost and all. But again, which college? The college is going to be the first and the foremost priority. Second is going to be city in case you're looking at placement. Otherwise, city is not important because the placement, the companies will come to your local colleges, right? At the undergraduate level. And next, what do you want to do along with college? Also, what matters is for students who have not been very well groomed during school, if you've not had that level of exposure during school, please make sure to choose a college, and then within your college, please make sure to participate in all sorts of management events, fests, etc. I wanted to complete my education as fast as possible and start working as soon as possible. If your finances and your family condition permits, and if you want to delay your courses by a year or so and participate more in college, do not get carried away. There are a lot of people who get carried away with all the events and societies and partying and all after that. But in order to groom yourself, you think you're an introvert, you're not confident about public speaking, you're not comfortable, you've not had that exposure during school, delay your exams by 6 months, 1 year or so. Instead of taking exams every 6 months, you take every 9 months or 1 year, but you start your professional exams also, but you participate in all college activities and get involved. That is also very important. Your grooming aspect will also be extremely, extremely important. That is a very important criteria. Even that is very important for you to decide your college. A college that has that level of exposure. So schooling is very, very important. Your 12 years in school, classes 1 to 12. It's very, very important because, you know, the way you talk, the kind of books you've read, let's say, or for example, your body language, your communication, a lot of things, these are your formative years. I have seen students who've probably not done that good in school. In fact, particularly one friend I know, so he made a very conscious decision that I want to groom myself in the 3 years of college at that point of time, and I want to really participate in everything and really groom and level up myself, even if I need to delay and complete my exams and everything a year or 2 years after college. So if that is something that you want to do, please go ahead. Next, when we're talking about economics honors, just the way class 9 and 10 science and 11 and 12 science is poles apart. Similarly, when you're talking about economics, your class 11-12 economics is very different as compared to what you would study in graduation. So you have to understand that there'll be a lot more details in terms of statistics, in terms of micro, macro. At times there will be a part of content you may not like in terms of macroeconomics, let's say, but you'll still have to study. So please, since you're already done with class 11 and 12, go through the curriculum of economics honors in a lot more detail in order to evaluate whether you want to go ahead with economics honors or not. Economics honors is going to be a different ballgame as compared to a BCom, BBA, BMS. So BCom, BBA, BMS, BAF, etc. I was not very bothered. It's more about the college and those factors in order for me to decide. But when I'm looking at economics honors, yes, I need to think. Do I want to go for BCom, BBA, BAF, BMS, etc. or do I want to go for economics honors? Economics honors is going to be more depth in economics. Please go through the syllabus in more detail. It might be a little dry in places. There might be a lot of proofs and stats and formulas and all of those things as well. Also depends on the college you get into. Developmental economics and policies and government macro and GDP and all. I'm not getting into what is economics because I am assuming you understand that. Microeconomics, demand, supply, etc. Macroeconomics, interest, inflation, GDP, production, company, country, all of those. International economics, foreign currency, international trade, all of those things, right? Economics honors, generally the duration, the amount of study hours you have to put in for graduation itself is quite high. Again, the college also matters a lot. The admission criteria is a little more grueling in terms of economics honors because less number of seats are there. And longer duration, I've already told you, college matters. Achha, career prospects again. So after economics honors, students either pursue a master's, then PhD and get into academics if they want to, or research. So there's a lot of research work also that goes on, where you have to make forecasts and everything in order to take business decisions. You have to have a lot of economic forecasts being done. financial firms, banking firms, insurance companies, etc., hire a lot of economists in order to make projections, how interest rate is looking like, inflation is looking like, production, etc. A lot of factors, finance firms, etc. Right? So you can take after bachelor's of economics, you can get into a job, or you do an master's in economics, PhD, or master's and then get into a job. Research and academics is predominantly the areas that you look at. After economics honors, taking up the MBA exam is also quite popular, where after studying economics, students get into a B school and they study finance. Along with economics honors, a lot of students do CFA and FRM also, because economics is also a subject in CFA, economics and statistics. Quants part, CFA and FRM both. FRM economics is not there. But economics, again, it's about the economy, and there is a lot of alignment with finance. So therefore, CFA and FRM. Very less number of students I would see studying CA with economics honors, because economics honors itself is very, very demanding in terms of time and preparation and college exams as well. And CA itself is also very, very demanding. So I would see a very less proportion of students doing economics honors and chartered accountancy. Very, very minimal. But with CF and FRM, yes. After economics honors, MBA, yes. And MCom, PhD also, yes. So that is what your career trajectory would be looking like.